Good morning, I'm Colonel Tom Blackstock. I'm the Chief of the Joint Staff for the Georgia National Guard and the Georgia Department of Defense. This is a fantastic opportunity to participate in the program here in Lithonia. The program to highlight the service and sacrifice of all the many veterans in this community, from all backgrounds. Military service is a bringing together of experience regardless of gender, race, religious preference. It brings everybody together into a common experience, and it's a great service that the city of Lithonia provides here by providing the program.
That's clean right there. Y'all be fighting over that car, don't y'all?
No, we got 3 of them.
Oh, you got
A few words with us.
Thank you very much. I am so proud to be here with my granddaddy, and I'm so proud of him, and I'm just proud. I was just sitting here just reminiscing, you know, without, you know, people like my granddaddy, you know, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I've done, you know, go in the hotels I go into, or be able to have the opportunity to act and to do stand-up comedy, you know. I'm just so appreciative of the generation before me, because without them we couldn't do what we do. We should never take for granted of the freedom we got. People fought for us across the world and fought in this country. I just appreciate my granddaddy so much. I love him so much. And his whole entire generation and all the people before us in the generation from slavery on up to fought and put up with stuff, and you know, I just love him so much. And I don't ever want to take it for granted, because I wouldn't be nowhere without them.
That's right, man.
And everybody else in my business or whatever they do, and whatever field they in.
Amen.
So I just want to thank my granddaddy. I love him. I love you guys. And just don't ever forget, you know, the people that came before us. They laid down the map.
That's right.
They struggled. They worked harder than us. We got it easy compared to what they had. And we should always take advantage of it. Like people that come from other countries take advantage of the opportunity that's over here, because they realize they didn't have the opportunities in their country.
That's right.
They come over here and they work harder and they get further than us, to some of us, because they work harder than us, and I'm a victim to that too.
That's right.
I have to remember that myself. I remember that to keep working hard and keep focused, and remember to keep God first, because God is blessing us all, keeping us from danger that we can't even see. Countries that don't like us, people that don't like us, God keep us from stuff we don't even see. And so if you keep God first, and He'll guide us and keep us. But He's blessed us with our generations before us, and we have to keep it going. I see a lot of young kids here. We got to keep it going. And you're a new generation, even younger than me. You just keep it going, and we pass down the torch. My granddaddy's generation passed down the torch. We got to keep it going and make them proud, because they struggled and they did a lot of stuff. So we'll have this opportunity now. Let's take advantage of it. We have a black president in the office, which is great. But even he knows how hard it is, and even he says you got to do it yourself. You got to work hard. Don't think it's just going to happen. Amen. Young generation, so we got to do it and keep it up, and you guys are doing great. And thank you guys for having me today. And Granddaddy, I love you so much. Y'all see where I get my good looks from, don't you? I look just like my granddaddy. He's funnier than me too. I get jokes from him. I get a lot of jokes from him. But I'm just happy to be here. Thank y'all so much. Enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day, and God bless. Thank you. Thank you.
Good to see you.
All right, thank you so much for sharing.
Members in a country of over 300 million, less than 1%. For the other 99% of Americans, the imagination plays a trick. Most folks think of veterans as old and wise, something like the founding fathers with sage wisdom and gray hair. I guess I shouldn't talk about gray hair, but when thinking of veterans, I imagine many still envision a soldier from World War II, from the era that we refer to as the Greatest Generation. But the sad reality of our time is that the greatest generation is leaving us. And though our hearts ache to say it, the torch of what it means to be a veteran has passed to today's generation. All my life I have looked up to veterans as the men and women who served our great country at the most critical times. Many of the ladies and gentlemen that I knew growing up in my hometown of Jefferson were veterans. Many of my relatives were veterans. And thinking about those men and women that have served before us makes me even more proud to know that I'm one of them. I believe that's what sets us apart. It's that sacrifice, the shared sacrifice. Regardless of whether we served in the same branch, in the same war, in the same unit, or in the same location, we all share the unique experience of having contributed to something that's greater than each of us individually. After September 11th, 2001, strangers would stop me at the coffee shop or the gas station and they'd say, "Thank you for your service." And for a very long time, I didn't really know how to respond to that. I thought about it and I decided that just to say thanks to them didn't really mean much. It finally hit me after some time that we, the soldiers of the Guard and Reserve in particular, can't do what we do without a tremendous amount of support from our communities, our families, and our employers. So now my response is, thank you for your continued support of our soldiers, sailors, airmen and women, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen and women. The Army Guard, the Greater Army, the state and federal government have expended enormous effort in preparing, supporting, and caring for our families. And these entities have also worked closely with the employers in our communities to forge a partnership of support. It's fitting that I'm able to say thank you not only to so many veterans today, but to all of you across the community who employ veterans. We talked about it earlier before the parade, that someone must take up the slack as all these great Americans go off to war when we do. The same is true of our families. Countless moms, dads, uncles, aunts, brothers and sisters are leaving behind families that need them. And someone must take up the slack at home too. So on behalf of a grateful state and nation, please spread the word to thank your families at every opportunity, for we could not do this mission without them. After over 30 years of service to our great state and nation, I too call myself a veteran, and I remember thinking after the first few years it doesn't really feel any different, but that's kind of the point. It's not like when you're overseas and you get back on the airplane to come home that some general walks out and waves a wand over you and says, okay, now that you're a veteran, you're forever set apart and everything's right. Wars don't make one great, but veterans are set apart. And what binds us together, no matter where we served or when we served, is the fact that we have that shared experience and that we all put ourselves on the line for America. But why do we serve? Consider how odd it is that anyone would put themselves in that position. We certainly don't get rich in return for taking this risk. And consider too the cost to our families as we leave. The short answer is for love of country, for love of that very family. The long answer is that it's based on the values and beliefs that have motivated American fighting men and women for centuries. Self-sacrifice, duty, honor, and country. Self-sacrifice is no longer an abstract concept. something that the football coach asks from his players when a sailor has to kiss his infant daughter one last time before he boards his ship to go into enemy waters. Duty is no longer just a word when the Marine gets a dangerous order but carries it out anyway because that's her job to do. Honor is no longer just a word when a soldier says one last prayer for a fallen comrade. And when an airman returns home from a war and has American soil under his feet, the smell and feel of being home again among his own people is itself country in a very real sense. We don't forget the concepts of self-sacrifice, duty, honor, and country that motivated us, but those come to represent the men and women around us. We serve for each other. That's why Shakespeare called it a band of brothers. The men and women serving with us come to represent everything we love and cherish. And when it comes down to it, it is for them also that we serve. So I think that it is because of this sense of self-sacrifice, for love of our countrymen, for duty, honor, and country, that we go to war. But once there, it is for the men and women next to us that we serve. As someone stated earlier, the United States sets aside 2 days a year to honor those who serve in war. Memorial Day is in the spring to honor our dead. And in the fall, we remember our veterans, our soldiers, first and foremost, as they lived. So today, we remember their living service to our nation at the Battle of Trenton, in John Paul Jones' daring raid in 1778, in the Battle of New Orleans, and in the border wars as our nation expanded west. We remember soldiers on both sides of the Civil War that briefly divided our nation. Soldiers in wars in Cuba, across the expanses of Europe, Africa, and the Pacific, the Devil Dogs at Belleau Wood, and the 3rd Infantry Division as they stood strong as the Rock of the Marne. We remember the encircled Marines at the Chosin Reservoir, our pilots in the skies over Vietnam, and our soldiers and Marines on the Mekong Delta. Beneath the icy Atlantic in the not-so-cold war. In Grenada, Lebanon, Bosnia, Somalia, Kuwait and Iraq in 1991, in Iraq over the last 10 years, and even today in the rocks and sands of Afghanistan and in the Horn of Africa. Men and women, young and old, Americans all. Now, there's a lot more veterans today than there were 10 years ago, and it's fitting and good that we remember today those young Americans who even right now are finishing up their first Veterans Day as veterans, doing that on foreign soil. You can be proud of these young soldiers even now serving overseas. They're doing excellent, difficult work. I just returned about 6 weeks ago from Afghanistan, so I can speak from experience. Now before we close, I'd like to read to you from a song that we never sing in its entirety. We sang the first verse earlier today, Star Spangled Banner. In a lot of ways, maybe we're singing the wrong verse. The first verse describes a moment in our nation's history when we stood strong in an event that inspires us to this day. But the fourth verse is about who we are as a people and what we are as veterans. It reads, "Oh, thus be it ever when free men shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation, blessed with victory and peace. May the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave." Ladies and gentlemen, citizens and veterans, may we all remember in humility and gratitude the veterans of our great nation.